Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to be doing a sit-down video talking about what it is like to be a legally blind adult doll collector. For those of you that do not know, I myself was born legally blind. My specific eye condition is called septo-optic dysplasia with optic nerve hypoplasia and nystagmus. What that really long thing means is explained in a couple of videos I have on my channel. I will try and remember to link those down below. So I was born with this and I've lived all my 25 years with it. I don't know anything any different. I'm very blessed to have the amount of vision that I do have. In short, I will never be able to drive, which, I mean, it doesn't really bother me. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. But I chose to be a sighted reader when I was in school, and I did know Braille for a time, but I really chose to be kind of a sighted reader and use tools and the vision that I did have, to function that way. So obviously large print, magnifiers, I use my phone a lot for zooming in, and that's gonna come into play when we talk about how I determine like the doll's clothing and or face paint. So I primarily collect American Girl and Rainbow High. I do dabble in OMG and Bratz. As a kid, I was more of the American Girl, Barbie, and Bratz collector. I was not aware as a child that there were different things such as different screenings in the Bratz line or different face molds in the American Girl line. Obviously, Rainbow High and OMG did not exist back then, but I will be covering them because they are what I collect now. So when it comes to American Girl, they have way more face molds than they did when I was a kid. My collection primarily consisted of classic and Josefina molds, and I was lucky enough to have one Jess mold, and that was Ivy. And I didn't know. I had no clue that they had different face molds. And now that I know all the different face molds exist, I look at them, I'm like, how did you not know they were different? Like, how did you know? What was your childhood brain thinking? So I cannot explain to you like the difference in how they look, like what looks different. I don't know how to explain that. To me, I just know that that's a Jess mold and that's a Sonali. The molds I have the most trouble telling apart are still classic and Josefina. They just look the most similar to me. So if I see a custom doll that I want or am looking for something, I will text Koa Lynn Life and I will say, what mold is this? And the past 3 dolls I've sent her, I ask her, what is this? And she's always like, that's a Blair Wilson. And I'm like, it's embarrassing, but it's fine. Like, I have a legitimate reason. So it kind of makes it a bit difficult for me when I am searching, like on eBay and Mercari and things like that, and you just type in American Girl, because a lot of the times people just list American Girls and they don't know like who they are. So I usually have to text Koa or message a couple of my other friends on Instagram, and I will ask them, what is this doll? And it's kind of difficult for me to shop, that way, because I do kind of have to ask, like, what is this doll? Like I just said. So I do kind of have to, some of them I know off the top of my head, like, if it was like an 83, I'm gonna know. And if it's like a 67 or obviously a Kaya, like an Anea, things like that, I will know. But if it's kind of one of the old, like, Girl of Today dolls, I might have some problems, or some Truly Me's. But for the most part, I'm really good, especially with historicals. I'm really, really good at that. But yeah, I was unaware that different face molds existed. And do I use my hands to kind of feel the difference in a face mold? No, like I said, I chose to be a sighted reader, so I prefer to do a lot of things by sight with the vision that I do have. Continuing on to face molds, when it comes to Rainbow High, the initial 6 dolls obviously all have the same face mold, and then they kind of started dabbling in, I think in Series 3, they started dabbling in new face molds, Series 3 and the twins. I cannot really tell the difference between face molds in Rainbow High. I know actually a lot of regular sighted collectors for Rainbow High kind of have this problem too. So I don't feel like as, I don't want to say like an outcast, but you know what I mean? I don't feel like as in the minority when it comes to Rainbow High, because their faces are a bit difficult to tell apart. So the one face mold that I can distinctly like tell apart is the Daphne Minton face sculpt. And Simone, I've heard Simone has the Lily face, which I don't have Lily yet, but I can tell Simone's, I knew Simone's was a bit different from, I think, the rest of the girls in her line, but I still kind of have a lot of trouble when it comes to Rainbow High face mold figuring out. And as far as Bratz screenings go, I have no clue. Like, don't even, I'm completely lost when it comes to those. But now that we're done with face mold, I want to talk about face paint and or makeup. So when it comes to American Girl, they are just now kind of dabbling in the painted on eyelashes with The World by Us and Corinne. And that is fine. I like that. I am a big fan of customs. So when it comes to customs, I really do look at the makeup. I myself have dabbled in wig and eye swapping. Now, when it comes to eye swapping, that is really just all based on feel. So you really just have to pop the eyes out and then pop the new ones in. The only issue I struggle with that is trying to figure out if they're straight or not. So again, I'll take a picture of it. I will text Koa. I will say, are these straight? Eye swapping is basically feel. And then for customs, like I said, they have makeup. A lot of my super detailed customs like Yasmin, Primrose, and Opal have very nicely done eyelashes and eyeshadow and lips and things like that. I know what my limits are when it comes to my vision better than anybody else. And if I could, I would dabble in the painting of their faces, but I know that that is way too difficult for me. It's just way too tedious and the details are so intricate. I don't even do fancy makeup on myself, let alone an 18-inch doll. So as much as I would really love to be able to do that, I know I cannot, and there's no sense in me buying materials and then potentially ruining a doll. So I'm fine with that. I'm fine with supporting my friends and buying their masterpieces. When it comes to Rainbow High, we kind of have a bit of a quality control thing that we have to pay attention to. So when dolls are mass produced like this, there's bound to be some errors. I really hate to say it, but there are. This does happen with American Girl sometimes too, but mainly for me, it's Rainbow High, and it usually happens with their face makeup. So like their eyeshadow and things like that. So what I do is someone's always with me when I'm shopping. So I've gotten to the point where I just pull out like all of the same character and my best friend, and I kind of pick them out together. And if I say I like this one, she goes ahead and she checks to make sure that everything is all lined up properly. And if it looks good, great. If not, she's like, no, you got to pick a different one. Because not that it bothers me, because like when I bought my Robin Sterling, she has a bit of a makeup paint defect, and I didn't notice that because I didn't ask. I think my mom was with me. I didn't ask if she looked okay, and then I just kind of like bought her because I had been searching for her for like 6 months, and I was like, I finally found you. You're the only one on the shelf. So I just went ahead and bought her, and I got her home, and I was like, oh no. But it's fine because when I look at them from afar, I can't tell that there's a problem. But when I look at them super close with my phone, when I zoom in, I'm like, oh no. But it's just the one doll. It doesn't bother me. I could zoom in with my phone when I'm in the store, but I really just prefer to ask my best friend, because ultimately, like, she's gonna see way better than me even zooming in with the phone. So that's kind of how I figure out what Rainbow Highs I need to buy. When it comes to them being rooted, and if they're over rooted or under rooted, you don't know that until you take them out of the box. And that's kind of all a big feeling thing as well. Now I want to talk about their clothes and jewelry. So when it comes to dressing American Girls, I've never really struggled with that. I remember there were some shirts and dresses as a kid. It was hard for me to get like the sleeves, like the fingers through the sleeves. And now that I think about that, I have no idea why. The only other thing that comes to mind is I would always struggle with when they had like actual buttons. This specific pair of Christmas pajamas I have for them comes to mind. It's the white ones with the snowflakes on it from a couple years ago. I hate putting those on. But I know that for like anybody with adult sized hands, even if you have tiny fingers, like they're difficult. But I don't really, that is not an issue. And I do it all primarily, yes, it's primarily by feel because you don't use your eyes to put the clothes on the doll, but you know what I mean. So when it comes to Rainbow High and OMG specifically, that's why I included OMG in this video. OMGs, if you don't know, come basically undressed, and you kind of have to put them together to get the whole look. So they have like a shoe box and a hat box and garment bags and stuff. In one of those little boxes is usually a plethora of jewelry, like earrings, necklaces. I know that, oh shoot, what is her name? Sunset came with hair beads, and I still don't have those in because I can't put them on myself, and I do not want to risk losing them, because this is why I'm very hesitant to unbox OMGs specifically on camera, because I need to make sure I have all the little pieces so that my cats and my dog don't eat them, primarily the kitten. And then so I don't lose them, because I don't like to not have I don't like when they're not complete. So with all of that, it is kind of like difficult to figure out what I need. Sometimes I do watch a lot of specifically OMG unboxing and reviews just so I know exactly what the pieces are and what they go to, because sometimes I have trouble like deciphering like what the actual pieces are. As far as putting in the earrings, I can see the earring holes. I do struggle with kind of putting the earring in, but that's like a common thing with the dolls in general. So when it comes to their clothes and shoes though, like there's really not that big of an issue. With Rainbow Highs and OMGs, their hands pop off, so you don't have to struggle with getting the fingers through the sleeves and stuff like that. So that's super, super easy. And obviously I can see well enough to pick out their outfits and dress them and things like that, because I know I got a lot of questions like, how do you dress them? And I'm like, it's really not that hard. So I think I've covered everything. I've tried to like run through this in my head a couple times because I really wanted to make sure that you guys could understand and I could explain it as easy as possible. Is it difficult for me to be a legally blind doll collector? Yes, at times it is, but does that hinder me from wanting to continue collecting dolls? Absolutely not. I have just learned to adapt and modify things, and I just kind of, go, take it one day at a time and go with the flow and stuff. I know that when we get like leaks of things and stuff, I hesitate to do videos on those because I just interpret things the way I see them. And then I've been called out like, oh, you completely like called this the wrong thing. And I'm like, oh, I'm sorry, I can't see. But I mean, I don't take offense to it. It's fine. If someone stumbles upon my video and they don't happen to know, then, I can't fault them for that. So, anyway, thank you guys so much for joining me. If you have not already, give this video a big thumbs up, hit that subscribe button to join the fam, leave a positive comment down below, and tap that really cool notification bell so you can know the exact moment I post a new video. Have a blessed day, and I'll speak to you all soon. Bye, everybody.